Festiie fam, the time is now. Festival-goers unite. Welcome to the Festiie Files podcast, where we highlight the creative and inspiring individuals who collectively come together and bring to you the festival experience. So if you're watching this at home and you attend festivals, whether you're somebody on the stage dancing at events or in the crowd dancing, whether you are the DJ providing the beat or somebody just a vendor, every single person there plays an integral role, an integral piece in the puzzle, right? So we're all connected. My name is Desmond Beristain, CEO of Festiie, the Festival Smart Band. And we're gonna keep the vibes going, especially during these times. We think it's super important to share our stories, to keep the spirit of festivals alive. It's our duty because we love festivals that much. So today we have a special guest. She's super passionate festival goer. Honestly, if you go to her social media, I really enjoy that she opens up. She is not afraid to open up, or she's very courageous and she'll do it. She'll tell you how she's feeling. She'll tell you what's on her mind, and she'll empower you as well. She believes that certain festivals and events are literally connected to our souls. She is a dubstep and riddim diehard. We're going to get into that because I want her to explain to the people what that really means. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the BassDrop Princess. The BassDrop Princess. Welcome to the Festiie Files podcast.
Hey everyone, what's up? That was a great intro. Thank you.
Thank you. You deserve it. You deserve it. So yeah, let's get right into your story. How are you doing right now, and how have you been spending your time?
Well, today I'm doing great. I'm off today. I'm actually still working throughout all of this. So it's great to just finally take a break from all the craziness and just focus on me. I feel like days off are even more precious than normal. I know that a lot of people are, they're at home during this time, but during this whole pandemic and all this inequality, I feel like it's just a nice mental reset for sure.
Yeah, totally. And if you are working, it's like vice versa, right? We appreciate the days off, and then we appreciate the days on, because as you mentioned it, there are over 40 million Americans who are unemployed. 20 million will not have, a job to go back to. And we're really at a time, a crossroads in humanity, when we really have to start appreciating what we have, but at the same time, having that self-reflection and as a whole reflecting on what we can do and the steps we could take forward. I just want to commend you. You just told me off air, this is your very first podcast. And I think that's awesome. This is a time to try different things. This is the time to open up and kind of get uncomfortable with even with yourself and try. And like we said, try things. So you hopping on, you sharing your story, there are going to be people that listen to your story and be like, wow, like she shared it. She got over whatever it is. And I love hearing that. So, yeah, let's get into the festival side of things. What got you into festivals?
Honestly, so my very first festival was EDC Vegas in 2011. I actually live here in Vegas. So my best friend Chloe, back in 2011, she was like, hey, there's this event called EDC that's coming. And I was like, what's that? And so I Googled it, and I remember watching this YouTube trailer of EDC in LA back when it was at the Coliseum. And I just remember hearing Data Life playing and seeing, these giant inflatable balloons just bouncing off the crowd. And I was like, oh, okay, this is cool. Yeah, let's go. And so I remember buying the tickets. They were only like $300, I think, for the whole 3 days. And I was like, okay, yeah, let's check it out. I was pretty open-minded as a kid, or even now, but I was like, sure, let's go. And so I just remember literally waiting in line for an hour in the sun, and I was like, God, is this even worth it? Because we got there at 4 p.m., which is pretty early for a festival. And it was, the first EDC Vegas. So whenever it's a festival's first time putting a festival on at a new venue, I think it's kind of chaotic the first time. But anyways, I just remember not knowing what to wear and like not being familiar at all with the rave scene. So like seeing people like in all these super bright costumes, not costumes, but outfits, and wearing all these rainbow beads. I was like, oh, this is like a culture. And then I just remember literally walking into the speedway and seeing this beautiful electronic wonderland and all these different stages. Back then, Cosmic Meadow wasn't even facing the entrance; it was actually facing the other side.
Wow.
So it was like parallel to the racetrack. So I just remember like being so overwhelmed. I was like, "Oh my God, there's no way we can explore this in like 3 whole days." And I just remember falling in love with the culture. I think this is everyone's universal answer, but it's their answer for a reason. Is that there's just so much like genuine kindness, concern, and it was just something that you don't really find in real life from strangers, like strangers that actually care about you, that in a sense kind of love you already for who you are and don't judge you. And I think that combined with the music, in my case in particular, dubstep, I think that's what really just got me started and hooked. So ever since 2011 EDC Vegas, that's when I was like, oh my God, I just discovered this whole part of myself. And it sounds really weird, but it plays a lot into who I am. And I think a lot of people can say that about themselves too. So that's what really got me into raving. And then, of course, discovering bass heavy music, dubstep, and like most recently, riddim. That's what kind of like sealed the deal and even made me kind of dub myself for some reason the princess of bass drop. So that's kind of what really got me into it, into festivals and stuff.
That's awesome. Wow, 2011. So you have literally you've seen EDC grow throughout Vegas, and then you got to experience like when dubstep was, I mean, at its infancy. But it's funny because like its infancy was pushing EDM forward. So you really got to experience that. Who are some of the artists you remember seeing at your first festival at that EDC that were like, wow, I'm really here. This is something special.
So it's kind of funny. So, like I mentioned earlier, Cosmic Meadow, it wasn't really facing the entrance. It was facing more so like the ends of the speedway because it's like this oval shape for those that don't know. But anyways, I remember my friend and I, my best friend Chloe, we needed a break and we like to sit, and we were like, hey, let's sit here, which was Cosmic Meadow, and we were drinking our giant lemonades and stuff. And so next thing you know, we like hear this. It wasn't really bass heavy at first. It was more so like this really trancy, dream like kind of synth playing, and then it slowly became this bass bass sound and slowly became dubstep at the time. And I just remember seeing crowds of people just slowly flock in. And then we weren't too far from the stage, and I could see this silhouette of long hair just go like this, like whoosh, like Ariel from The Little Mermaid. And I remember thinking, wow, this guy's really good. And it was my first EDC, so I had no idea who this artist was. I was just really enjoying his music, his set. And so I just remember my best friend Chloe being like, this guy is going to be big, because she loved it too. We were both like, this is something that we've never heard before. And then come to find out, we get a hold of the schedule. It was actually Bass Nectar in
Wow.
2011.
Wow.
Yeah. So I've been a fan since seeing him. He was definitely one of the first artists I've seen and really connected with. And I was a former metalhead in high school, and a lot of the artists that I listened to, I find were as well Bass Nectar. And his actions I don't condone, but the music for sure, absolutely, I think is still beautiful and is something that that just taps into my mind,
Yeah, get you in that vibe. That's such a cool story though, because certain artists, and we've all experienced it, where you see them, and this is kind of like the cool part about going to festivals. And you mentioned you guys would go early, like 4 p.m. 5 p.m. Like you're early bird. Shouts out to you. But
Well,
you
we
were,
had no idea it was our first festival, so we were like, oh, we got to get there early.
yeah, that's hilarious, but great at the same time because you're there. You're there for it. Now, I mean, when we attend EDC, we get there around 5:30 actually, and then we'll just hang out in the parking lot for a bit, say what's up to people as they come in, and then make our way in. But the cool part is you can watch an artist like literally blow up right in front of you. They'll be playing at, if I let's say I go to a festival and the festival starts at noon, you want to get there around 1 because you want to watch the artists that are performing at 2, 3 p.m. Because usually 2, 3 years down the line, now they're performing at 7, 8 p.m. and or even headlining.
Right. No, I totally agree. I remember, God, I can't remember what year exactly it was. This year was supposed to be our 10th EDC together, my best friend Chloe and I. Yeah. So I think it was like 2000, I want to say 13 or 14. We left on time, but you know, the traffic, you've been to EDC Las Vegas? Okay.
Oh yeah.
So for those that don't know, traffic going from like the 15 from like Las Vegas Strip all the way to the Speedway, it usually becomes really narrow, about only 2 lanes, and then it's bumper to bumper traffic, and it's kind of unpredictable in terms of how well traffic control is and if people know where to go. But anyways, I think Bass Nectar was playing like at 8 p.m. and we left around 6, and where we left at the time was relatively close to the Speedway, but we still ended up missing him because of getting into all the traffic, and then you still need to find parking, and then from parking you still have to walk all the way to the entrance, and then from there you get, you're in the search line, and then you're in the ID line, and you have to plan ahead for sure
Yeah.
when going to festivals, and leave a little earlier than you anticipated if you really want to see an artist that you love.
Exactly. And wow, 10 years. So shouts out to Chloe. Chloe, we need to get you on the podcast because I know you have some stories as well and we love to share them. 10 years. So
She
you
would
were
love that.
there. Yeah, you were there that year that they like got not rained out, but the
The
wind was
wind.
super high, and then Steve Aoki was like going around in a cart, and then he would, or I don't know if it was Steve Aoki, but I think so because he was supposed to play with Blue Man Group one of the years.
Oh, I didn't even hear of that. Really? I just remember I think we were too devastated to take it all in, because I just remember it was in addition to just me and Chloe in our group, it was also our good friend Brittany, and it was her first EDC ever, and she didn't go Friday. So Saturday was her first night, and Saturday was when the wind got super crazy and they started sending people home at 11. We didn't believe it, so we stayed there till 12. But nope, it was true. They totally canceled it, which was understandable because, they don't want these giant speakers falling and hitting people and all this liability. Of course, safety was the big issue. But what's really cool about Insomniac was that I remember this was back when they had one-day passes. What they did was, for those people that only had Saturday passes, they granted them access into Sunday.
Nice.
Which was really cool. So even though it sucked and was like a buzzkill, whatever, they tried to make up for it, which was really cool, and it was still super fun.
Yeah, and right now we're not able to attend festivals, so we have to, and we have the community itself. We were the first to come up with like live streams and so many other creative ways to keep that spirit alive. What creative ways have you seen? How are you passing time? Have you tapped into anything new as of recent, during this time?
I will, in terms of doing something new, like activity wise, I'm not going to lie. I did make a TikTok, and I was obsessed. I was so obsessed for like the first month, because I was like, oh my God, this is another creative outlet that Instagram and Twitter don't really have. And it was another way of, expressing myself. And for me personally, I like to joke around a lot. So I'm kind of goofy and like making all these weird meme-like videos. But I thought that was just super cool, super fun. And another thing that I really got into, along with my boyfriend, is comedy. So I'm obsessed with it now. But I tend to watch a lot of stand-up. and a lot of these comedians podcasts. So it's just really cool because I think a lot of people need comedy right now. Let's put it that way.
Yes. Let's talk about a couple. Let's share some. Because I recently watched. I'm Filipino, so I watched Joe Coy.
No way.
Yeah. Are you too? You cannot
Yeah.
there? What's
Yeah,
up?
mabuhay, kaibigan. My Filipino totally, my Tagalog totally sucks. I'm one
Yeah,
of
my
those born
Tagalog,
here's.
konti lang. Yeah, but
That's
that means like very little.
konti lang,
Um,
yeah. Me too, just a little bit. But I understand
there
if
you go.
that. Do you understand too?
I'm Mexican and Filipino of all
Oh,
things.
nice.
So I've actually lived in the Philippines for 2 years. So I played basketball there for UE, a little bit in the pro leagues. So
Oh, that's so awesome.
yeah. So but Joe Coy just had a for all my Filipinos. He just put out a special and they like highlight the Philippines. So he took comedians and artists to the Philippines, and then they have the special there. But like you said, it's like stand up is so great. Rather than going to bed at night and the last thing you see is the news, which I'm gonna say it like that shouldn't be the last thing you watch before you go to bed. You don't want to. It's almost like putting on a scary movie and then going to bed. It could mess with your psyche a little bit. But if you watch something
Right.
positive, something you can laugh and at least go to bed because it's a tough time right now, just kind of with a smile about something, then it plays a large role. I've actually been watching more stand-up too lately.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think that well, like you said, it kind of puts you in a great mood. I think I agree that the news isn't really the best thing to watch before going to bed, when that's supposed to be like your time for your brain to wash itself out and to rest and kind of forget about the day.
Mhm.
And I feel like usually the news, although it is important, I think that sometimes they show a lot of the extreme things, also depending on what news channels you get it from. But anyways, they're also showing the things that are the most dangerous. So it's always, like a safety issue. So it makes you scared when you watch certain things. So I don't think that's the greatest thing to watch before going to bed. I think like meditating would be a lot better.
Yeah.
But in terms of comedy, yeah, I think what's that old saying, laughter is the best medicine. I totally agree. I think that it releases all these hormones and feel good chemicals in your brain, and I think that it's something that people should really get into a lot more. However, there's so many different types of comedy, so I don't want to say that every comic is great, but depending on if you like dry humor, corny humor, there's so many different types of comics. And like you said, Joe Coy, he's this awesome Filipino comic. He is hilarious, and he has like 3 different specials on Netflix. I saw that last one you're talking about. The one in Hawaii was really good.
Yeah.
But I also enjoy a lot of like not necessarily his stand-up, more so his podcast. If anyone watches Theo Vaughn or Bobby Lee and Tom Segura, Bert Kreischer, they're so funny. I definitely recommend checking them out, especially if you feel down.
Yes, exactly. That it's feel good vibes type of things. Let's talk about feel good vibes. Let's talk about riddim. What riddim has been taking over the game, and honestly, not too many people know what it is. So if I'm at home and I'm the future class of festival goers, right? I was gonna attend this year, but obviously not gonna happen yet. So what can you tell me about riddim in a real quick kind of way? What is it?
Riddim it's most definitely dubstep. However, I don't think it's as, I don't want to say simple, but it sounds a lot simpler compared to other types of dubstep that's out there, in terms of it has this really bouncy and this bouncy, dirty vibe, not necessarily headbanging, but it makes you want to bounce. I'm not the best at describing the technical terms for it, but for example, I didn't realize this was riddim. When I was listening to Datsik back in the day, he has this song called Just Sayin', and it's looking back, it's complete riddim. I don't think anyone really knew how to classify it back then, but it has this really dirty, bouncy, I almost want to say grungy type of sound to it, but it's not anything like, for example, like Zomboy or Skrillex. It's two totally distinct sounds.
Who are some rhythm like artists, rhythm producers?
So now Virtual Riot, he has a lot of rhythmy type stuff. So does Subtronics. In fact, he has this whole volume called that's what I call rhythm. When you listen to it, you'll be able to see the difference. There's this super bouncy, dirty, like heaviness to it. I don't want to say it's repetitive, but it kind of is. For example, Sudden Death's Void. I think that's like the most popular rhythm song of all time. It has that really like really dirty, grungy, bouncy type of feel versus something from, for example, like Wakan, like Liquid Stranger. That's more of this, I call it like Wook step, but it has more of this, this dreamy, psychedelic-y type of feel, almost like Rez, that bass, different bass rhythms. You'll kind of know when you hear it. Let's put it that way. It doesn't sound like Excision. It's not like that melodic Seven Lions bass nectarolenium dubstep. It's more of this like really dirty, bouncy, heavy dubstep.
Word.
That's the best I can explain it.
I like it. There it is. What is Riddim by the BassDrop Princess. So let's get to the name. How did you dub yourself that? Did somebody else dub yourself that? How did the name come about?
Honestly, okay. So like once I got into raving, like in 2011, I just remember seeing all of these like awesome ravers. Like at the time, I didn't know they were shuffling, and I was like, this is so cool. Like, how are they doing this? And I was really ambitious, and I was like, I'm going to learn how to do this. So I looked up YouTube videos, like how to shuffle. And I remember coming across this video. It was like all female shufflers. And there's this one girl who was like super good. And I think her name was Plur Princess. And she was like killing it. I was like, Plur Princess, that's cool. But I like bass music more, specifically dubstep. And at the time, the saying bass drop was really big. Like, let the bass drop, or stuff like that. And I was like, okay, well, I'm the BassDrop Princess, cool. And that's when Instagram got really big, and that was actually my first, that was like my personal account, my BassDrop Princess account, and that was the name, and it stuck, and till this day I really like it. And it's me. Not that I produce or anything. In no way am I the princess of BassDrop producing or anything like that. It's just something that I'm super passionate about, and I thought that I would grow out of dubstep, but I knew deep down inside I wouldn't, just because it's the metal of EDM, and I still love it. And some people say that, oh, dubstep's dead, or it won't ever get big. And I remember when that was super, like a really popular saying, and then Excision dropped Lost Lands, and I was like, yeah, it's dead. All right, you guys. And now there's so many different people that just absolutely have fallen in love with it, just like how I have. And dubstep is such an umbrella term. There's so many different types of dubstep, and it's so much more complex than what people think it is. So it's just my favorite genre, hands down.
Yes, and you're right. There are so many subcategories within every like within every subcategory in the EDM umbrella. Like literally,
Totally.
even there are even like Porter Robinson. He even pushes like, is it even EDM? You know, he's been labeled alternative.
Oh,
So
mm-hmm.
like when we can start looking at it as just as music, and then understanding and appreciating every single aspect, and like, wow, I can vibe off this, as opposed to, yeah, that's hot right now and that's not hot later or whatnot. Because yeah, we've all heard that, like, oh, dubstep was the beginning of EDM and now it's everything else, as opposed to just like appreciating it. And then you have Excision, you have, I mean, I don't know, would you consider G Jones, shouts out to G Jones, as like, what would you consider him? Just bass, bass music? Because he's very unique.
No, totally. I would say bass music in terms of dubstep sometimes, not all the time, but I feel like a lot of artists kind of are borderline, like they kind of um, they're right there on the fence, or sometimes they go more towards one way or sometimes the other, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I think that it's kind of cool to have that versatility. Same thing kind of with who was it? I feel like Zed's Dead and Slander kind of do that a lot. Like they'll be really heavy and then really melodic. Skrillex was doing it a lot too back in the day. But like you said, there's so many different types, and honestly, I feel like there's an EDM genre for everybody.
Yeah.
Like if they looked and tried really hard, they would find something anywhere from if you like that really dreamy trance, or if you like hardstyle, like there's something there. Even if you like that super poppy chain smokers stuff, like it's there. Like I feel like there's a genre for everybody, and that's why I feel like a lot of people transition over. Like I said earlier, like metalheads or people that listen to rock, but also people that listen to a lot of hip hop or rap. I feel like that transition can be easily made, through trap, which is super cool. And I think that's the beauty of it, is that a lot of people can find something just because it's so huge and different and unique.
Exactly. Exactly. There is a genre. I mean, there are just, you might like every genre. I feel like I find myself, especially like EDC, you can literally bounce through like from stage to stage on the way from Kinetic Field. Like I'm leaving Kinetic Field and I'm going to Circuit Grounds. Well, I got to pass through Bass Pod. I got to pass through, you get the hard style in. I might even pop my head in the trance state, like the dream state, everything. And you just learn how to appreciate it. Yeah, you have your, hey, this is where I'm probably going to spend the majority of my time. But I
Bass
also
pod.
feel like what happens at festivals is you have everything planned out, and then you end up spending 5 hours this happened to me. I ended up spending like 5 hours at Dream State, and it was not even on my plan, on my schedule. But it happens.
Yeah, no, totally. No, I know what you mean, because walking down, what is it called? Electric Avenue? Because it
Yeah.
goes from
Neon
Circuit
Garden.
Grounds.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Neon Garden, then Circuit Grounds, and then Bass Pod, and then
I don't know what the hard stage is called.
brain fart right now. Yeah, the hard style stage, and then Kinetic, and then Cosmic Meadow. In between, you have all of these little carts and stuff. But you're literally going from like deep house to trance to dubstep to hardstyle to the main poppy stuff down to whatever at Cosmic Meadow. And it's so crazy because you'll be walking down Electric Avenue, and you can, to my boyfriend, he produces, so to him it sounds like train wrecking, but you can definitely hear the different genres, and you can hear them change as they go by. So it always struck me as funny when people say that all EDM sounds the same, and it's nothing but or robotic sounds, because it really doesn't sound like that. They all have this distinct, unique thing about them that distinguishes them from each other genre. But where was I going? Sorry, I just had a brain fart. But
that's super true, and that's funny. We're gonna give your boyfriend some love here, because I was curious. I was like, well, it's her first podcast, but she has better equipment than I do. And I was like, so so what's your boyfriend's, we want to show him some love. What's he working on? He's a producer. Maybe give a little info on his story, and maybe even how you guys met, if it was festival oriented.
Yeah, no, definitely. So my boyfriend, he's actually in this dubstep duo, Scudda Music. They actually won the Lost Lands remix competition last year, and they played. So my boyfriend's name is Justin. Hi, babe, I love you. He's so great. He's an awesome, super, super talented producer. Hence why I'm using, his Shure microphone and his M audio interface. But he's just so amazing, so talented. When I met him, we met a long time ago here in Vegas. Long story short, we met at work, but not at a festival. So it's not this dream story. But when I met him, he was actually under the alias Niacin, which was dubstep, and we started dating, and then he actually started producing trance. So it was just this completely different switch. And at the time, I was like, dubstep, you need to make dubstep. Like no, this trance stuff. However, I do like trance. It's just I was like, I'm more passionate about dubstep, and I need something that's really hard,
Yeah.
And he, like, for years he was making trance in another duo called Mikado, but he was making trance, and then Excision dropped Lost Lands, and I was like, we have to go. This is like my dream festival, like out of all festivals, because certain festivals, they only have one or two dubstep artists, and you're like, oh. But when that came out, I was like, okay, we have to go. So literally we went to our first Lost Lands, and him and his best friend Jordan, they formed Scudda right after we went to Lost Lands. And I think that's what's so crazy about music festivals is that it can change your perspective on something just like that, going from making one genre to another. So ever since then, they've been producing just phenomenal, really wonky disciple like dubstep for anyone that hasn't really heard their sound. So Scudda music on Instagram, and they just came out with this new song Bopzilla on SoundCloud. It's available now, but they're just really talented and really amazing. And for other bass heads or headbangers, I think that you guys would really like their stuff, so check them out.
Yes, shouts out to Justin, shouts out to Scudda Music, and shouts out to Lost Lands, because she just mentioned it. Paradigm shifting. Festivals do that. Like, you go, you leave, you literally leave a different person in a beautiful way, because you meet so many people.
Absolutely.
Connect, and we gotta keep the connections going. Like us jumping on this podcast. Let's talk about social media. You mentioned that you started your TikTok, but also let's talk about social media and having discipline when it comes to social media. One of your posts, you spoke about putting kind of a timer, a time limit on your social media consumption as it pertains towards mental health, towards that. Let's talk about that. I think that's really cool. And that you must have a very high level of awareness for yourself to implement that. So yeah, let's get into it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, even before Instagram, I found myself on Facebook, on Snapchat for hours and hours and hours on end. And then once Instagram came to light, it became worse. Like, I was just honestly on it. If I wasn't at work, or if I wasn't driving or whatever, I would seriously be on Instagram. And then as you get really engulfed in social media and start to grow a following, not that I have like a billion followers, but to me, it's still a lot of people.
Yeah.
It gets stressful, and you don't want to come off a certain way. And that's the thing about social media, is that I don't feel like people can truly understand the context of what you're saying until it's like a video. I think that's why I really like TikTok, because then you can explore a little bit more. It gives you this other dimension of really expressing how you feel and giving you tone and things like that. But for me, with social media, you have to take a break. You have to step back, look at the big picture, and think to yourself, is this healthy? Because usually for me, depending on what I see, I get I get into this comparison mindset. I'm like, I'm not like that. I'm not living that dream. I'm not doing this, doing that, just comparing yourself, whether it be on looks, your financial situation, how your page is doing. And especially now with everything that's going on, I think that you need to take care of yourself in all different types of ways. It's not just physical, it's also mental. And for me, mental awareness is so important because you need to know what makes you feel good, what makes you feel bad. And that's why I was like, you know what, I need to put some time limits on myself because it takes up so much of my day, not in a productive way. I mean, sometimes, but um, it, it can ruin your day sometimes. And especially now that a lot of us are staying home, I think that's what is happening as well. And it's making you think a lot more and you go spiraling into this black hole of negativity. So, besides that, it just isn't good um, for myself physically because I started getting these ocular migraines. For those that aren't familiar, it's where it's like this little shimmer, almost like in the shape of a weird like comic book like text thing where it says "pow." It does that, and I realized it's because I was on my phone so much that the light was triggering my eyes, and I feel like if it's not getting you mentally, it'll get you physically. And so that's why I was like, I need to back down on the social media because it was affecting my health um, in all sorts of ways. I mean, not that I don't go on, I'm not saying that, but I think that you should control it, minimize it. And people say this a lot, but I think that you do need to live life and experience it and go have fun, talk to someone. DMing and commenting, that's nice too, but I think now more than ever, we need to just not take actual living for granted, and everything in moderation is good. So in moderation. So if that means setting a time app, then set it. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm like, obviously I'm so for it. So, but if you don't, that's fine too. Just be aware of how you feel when you're on social media.
Love it. Love it. Thanks for sharing that. Thanks for opening up. That's literally what this podcast is about. And it happened really quickly. Like when we started the podcast, we started talking about all types of things, but more importantly, how can we grow and it starts with self-reflecting. So you had that, kind of epiphany where you're like, you know what, I have to implement certain things to make sure my overall health, my real life interaction with myself, people around me, that's the most important thing. Not saying completely knocking social media off, but you go on it, you'll post, you'll show some love, you'll respond, this and that, and then you'll get off of it. That's so important. And so do you kind of have like, how do you do that? Let's say I'm at home and I want to do the same thing. Do I say like, okay, I'm only doing an hour a day? Do I say I'm not going to look at it when I'm at work? I'm going to wait till I get home and sit down and then I can do it for an hour? Or
No, absolutely. Well, what's cool is that on iPhones you can set like a time limit. So for me personally, I set it for 15 minutes, and it's for all socials. So Twitter, Instagram, it even includes going online. So you can actually pick the types of apps that you want to limit yourself on. So those are specifically the ones that I limit myself to. If you've never used one of those options with the time limits, what's cool is that, let's say you really like, for example, you're doing stuff on your social for work, you can actually ignore the time limit for today. So I like to call it like a cheat day or whatever. You can just cheat and go on, obviously, for more than 15 minutes. But for me, what's nice about having the limit is that it'll pop up and I'll be like, okay, it gives you a what is it, like a
reminder, lets you know.
Yeah, it really puts into perspective how long you've been on there. And not to be gross, but I'll be on the toilet and I'm like, oh my God, I'm not even going anymore. But here I am just scrolling away on my phone like this mindless robot. Like, no, get out of it. And uh, to me, that's one of the reasons why I really like it, is because I find myself wasting time, and it's all this emotional and mental investment when I could be, um, you know, talking to my family or my boyfriend or hang out with my cat and dog. And it's just, like I said, just living. And um, I don't want to look back on life and be like, oh my God, I was living on my phone the whole time. Not that obviously we love our phones, but there has to be some type of balance between the two for sure.
Exactly. She just said balance. And like, if you're able to, you just mentioned it, staying on, and it's true. Like, we'll be on the toilet, we'll be doing this. It's like, man, that's 5 minutes right there. That's 10 minutes right there. You
I
add
know.
that up. That's a whole hour, let's just say throughout the day, you're like, I could have an hour where I could be allocating that towards quality time with people that are literally in my immediate circle. With myself, you just mentioned meditation earlier as well. So just always having that outlook on the big picture and being able to take yourself out of it, because social media, exactly, there are never enough likes, there are never enough followers, there's never enough this. There's always someone that's trying to up it and up it. And yesterday's post, you are in competition with that post. Like, oh, I gotta beat yesterday's post. So once you kind of surrender the outcome and you just go out there, and that's what I really like about your post, is you just kind of get out there, you voice your opinion. You don't say like, that's what everyone should do. You just say, hey, I'm going to share something. This is my stance on it. If you take something positive from it, great. If not, that's okay too. You're a human being, and respecting that. And that's the message that we all need to kind of take into consideration right now. We're all human beings. We're all figuring this out. It's not because of color, because of this, because of whatever, because of the number of subscribers. We should all be treating each other with that peace, love, unity, and respect. And that's why the
100%.
world is a festival. The world should be a festival, right?
Absolutely. And I think that's why we are so drawn to festivals. The majority of people, it's just this beautiful utopia of people from all different religions, races, backgrounds, just coming together and just being in harmony and in sync. And I think that there's just, if you're not in a festival, I feel like there's other ways to kind of get that peace that you're looking for, that you find in a festival. And for me, before the pandemic, I was doing a lot of yoga, a lot of hot yoga, like super obsessed. But then, once the pandemic hit, I started meditating a lot more. And for those that don't know, there's this app called Headspace, and I think they're doing like this thing for free for people that are unemployed, or for healthcare workers. They're doing it for free until I think December. But it's just so great for decompressing, taking a step back. And I think that it's something that everyone would really benefit from, having that awareness, because the way you interact with people, I personally think after you meditate or have been meditating is, what's the word? I think you're more calm, you're patient, understanding, and I think tapping into that awareness and that consciousness is something that that a lot of people don't necessarily know about, or they haven't explored it. So I'm definitely an advocate for that, because I think that it can help with so much, and I think that it can really help with people fighting depression. And I think that it's something that a lot of ravers even embrace, because I've seen those meditation booths, or what is it, like those little chill zones where they have meditation at festivals. And it's because it can help calm you down. It can help um, uh, de-escalate anxiety. And I think it's so important. And even if you're not a raver, I think that um, it's something that is so big, and I wish everyone even gave it a chance, because I think it would be so beneficial, especially, in times like these.
Yeah, love it, love it. Beautifully said. And also, like, it's essentially mindful acts, right? Even, for
Hmm.
example, you're at home right now, but you're still dressing up a little bit as if you were going to a festival. Like little things like that, to tap into things that make you smile, things that bring up positive emotions. Talk about that, because I mean, your outfits they're on point.
Oh, thank you so much. Um, no, I think one of the things that I'm sure this applies to guys too, but most definitely for girls. Um, that saying, "If you look good, you feel good," but there is some truth to that for sure because um, honestly, if I'm not at a festival, I usually don't wear a full blown face of makeup. I used to when I was younger, but I think as you get older, you care less. So festivals was like all out, ball out, um, feeling amazing, looking amazing. But then now we don't have these events to go to. So um, for me, I was just a slob at no makeup and hair and a messy bun type of girl. But when I started using TikTok more, I was like, all right, time to become a little actress and put on some makeup and have all these different characters and dress up, and it gives you that sense of familiarity with how life was before the pandemic. So it's just really nice to dress up again for once. And I think a lot of people feel that way in terms of dressing up, with girls, like putting makeup on, doing their hair. It's the little things that can sometimes really bring you a lot of happiness. And I think that that's something that we all kind of learn about ourselves for sure. But doing stuff like that, or even um, just connecting, like Zoom is so popular now, just connecting with your old friends, doing those virtual raves, it gives you that sense of unity again. So it just doing certain things that you used to do, I think helps and will help you cope and be a lot happier. I mean, not saying you have to do it every day, but it definitely um, I feel like it makes you more optimistic because it won't be like this forever. You'll be able to get to do all those things again.
Exactly. She just said it won't be like this forever. Honestly, this is an opportunity for us to realize, to appreciate the little things. And sooner or later, we will all be back out there. And it's interesting because usually on day 3 of EDC, when you're leaving the festival, that's when everyone's crying. It's going to be such amazing energy going into the festival. That's when people are going to be crying entering the festival. So that's
Oh
something,
yeah.
yeah, I'm stoked to see. And you've been great. I mean, I really find you're a great podcast like guest, by the way. I feel like you're such a natural.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm
You're,
like so nervous. I'm like, oh my god, don't talk too much.
how
Just
can
talking.
people
No,
how
speak.
can people find you? Just extend that appreciation, reach out, send positive vibes your way, connect. What are your social media handles so they can get you on the gram and on TikTok, etc.?
No, totally. Yeah, BassDrop Princess, all one word, spelled normal, I guess. BassDrop Princess on Instagram. On Twitter, it's BassDrop Princess, but with one S at the end because it was too long for Twitter. And I'm also on TikTok, all BassDrop Princess, one word spelled normally. Um, yep, those are my main socials right now. If I don't respond right away, it's not because I don't want to. It's just you got to set those time limits. But yeah, uh, I'm also working on some exciting things, so keep a lookout. Otherwise, continue to spread love and awareness, and just know that it won't be this way forever. And keep your head up. This is temporary.
She just said it. She just said it. Well, thank you so much. You are officially Festi fam. Once again,
Festi.
shouts out Scudda Music. We're going to post all the links in the description. And to everybody at home, please stay safe and please exercise peace, love, unity, and respect. Festi Files signing out.
Thank you so much, everyone.